Self-doubt is not what takes many leaders down. Pretending that it doesn't exist while suffering silently does. Continuing to smile in meetings, making decisions as if nothing has happened, or pressuring yourself to continue leading in the same normal way. While internally, you're questioning everything. You're second guessing your decisions, you're overthinking the conversations you had, and you're wondering whether you still have an edge. And no one talks about this enough because self doubt in leadership, especially at seniority levels, is seen as shame. So it's shameful, especially if you work in tech or in finance, or if you're in an organization that expects certainty from you. But what people misunderstand is the following. Self doubt comes when the pressure is higher than your emotional capacity. It's not a sense of weakness. It's simply your nervous system responding and trying to protect you from this pressure overload. If you're watching my channel for the first time, my name is Nadine Zainoun. I'm a master certified coach who's enthusiastic about spreading emotional intelligence, building trust, and human-centered leadership. A few years back, I was heading one of the chapters of the International Coaching Federation. And at that time, I was really going through a lot of pressure, personally and professionally. So my business, my own business, was demanding a lot from me. And on the personal side, I had some difficulties that I needed to address and put some attention to. So all of this led to me missing a few deadlines with my board. Now, the problem was not the deadlines that were missed. The problem was, or the challenge was, the wave of self-doubt that kicked in. I started doubting whether I could actually do this job. I started doubting whether I was really adding value to my members, whether I was really supporting my board. I started overthinking all the conversations that I was having. I started second guessing my decisions. And worst of all, this overthinking and these the self-doubt and self-talk led to something even more dangerous, which was shame. I started feeling ashamed of myself for being in self-doubt. So I started judging myself as weak because I'm having the self-doubt. I started telling myself, what kind of leader would doubt themselves? Where is my self-confidence? How come I don't have self-confidence? What's going on with me? Why am I going through this? And I felt so ashamed of who I was and ashamed that I don't even deserve this position from the start. And this wave of shame, it took away all my energy, all my focus, all my attention. It drained me. And I wasn't able to give any of my deliverables. And it's funny because while I thought that I couldn't deliver because I had too many things to do, I actually couldn't deliver because I was feeling shame. That was the real reason I was being late on my commitments. It wasn't the number of tasks that I had. And that shame ate me up. It even didn't allow me to open up to my board. I felt so shameful that I isolated myself. And it took me a long time in isolation until I, strengthened myself. I gathered my courage and I said, okay, let me go tell my board. And once I shared this with my board, to my surprise, they did not judge me. On the contrary, they felt so compassionate. They started reinforcing me and telling me what a great leader I was and the difference I was making and how I was supporting everyone. And they started reminding me of all these things that I hadn't focused on before. And this gave me a really nice push. And on top of that, they supported me. They took on some of the tasks that I had so that I can manage my time better. And the bond between us, oh my God, it grew so much. It became deeper. The trust grew. The connection grew. The support grew. So in contrary to all my fears, speaking up and asking for support actually helped the situation. Let me explain to you why this happens. You see, when we are under stress, our body produces more cortisol. This is the stress hormone. So stress will produce high cortisol. What the high cortisol does is that it activates our primitive brain, which is responsible for protecting us, and it also creates fear and allows me to put more attention on possible threats. So when I missed the deadlines, my brain didn't take it as simply, it's okay, I just missed the deadline. No, it created a threat out of it. So that deadline that was missed became a threat to me, to my identity. Oh my God, how are people going to interpret this? What are they going to say about me? What's going to happen to my credibility? What's going to happen to my image? Who am I going to be? They're going to doubt me. All of this fear, this continuous fear, is what creates this self-doubt. Now, this self-doubt and fear, when they continue, then something else kicks in. I start judging myself based on my beliefs. And then I get into shame. What does that mean? You see, our beliefs about, or at least my belief about leaders at that time was that leaders needed to be always in self-control, always strong. They are weak if they ever doubt themselves. They are weak if they are ever in fear. So they should always be strong, in control, knowing what to do, and never doubting themselves. So when I fell into that self-doubt, comparing to my beliefs and the beliefs I had about leadership, I was a bad leader. And that's why I went into shame. So because I started judging myself for going through that fear, judging myself, why am I going through this? Why is it that I'm in fear? Why am I being so weak? I have never felt like this. Am I going to ever get out? All of this creates shame. And that shame is what crippled me. Now, how do we get out of this? If we want to get out of this cycle, there are two places where we can get out of it. One is here. So change our beliefs so that we stop the shame. And the other one is how we manage the fear. Let's start with the first one. Because the shame is what's paralyzing me, I need to address that. To address the shame, I need to be okay with me being in fear. So I need to change my belief around fear in leaders. And it's okay if fear and self-doubt are present in leaders. They're only a sign of humanity. They're a sign that I'm feeling something is threatened and I need to look into this. But it doesn't mean anything about me as a leader. And that's why if I change these beliefs, the shame won't come up. So that's the first stage. Another place where I can intercept it is if I am okay with the fear, if I befriend my fear and understand that fear is only a signal. It doesn't mean anything about me. Fear comes up because my brain is sensing that something is important to me and that something is being threatened in this particular situation. So for example, if we go back to the missed deadlines, it's just telling me that I care to be committed and I care for my commitment and my honesty and my integrity towards the deadlines I give. And I care about this mission of presidency. And in this moment, I'm feeling like this is threatened. Why? Because I'm too stressed and I'm too overwhelmed. So I need support. So if I had looked into that fear and understood that, I would have immediately gone and asked for support. But I didn't. Why? Because the fear led to shame, and shame is so intense and strong and debilitates us and cripples us and removes the energy that we can't really inspect the fear and accept the fear. So the next time you're doubting yourself as a leader or you're in some fear, whatever it is, please remember this and check those beliefs. Are you shaming yourself because you're in fear? If you're shaming yourself, change those beliefs and stop that. And second, go into that fear and ask yourself, what is it trying to tell you? What is it signaling to? What is threatened in this situation or seems to be threatened? All those questions will activate a different part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is a very resourceful part of your brain. And it allows you to stop judging yourself and get into problem solving and into action. Here's my final reflection for you. What emotion are you suppressing today that actually needs your attention? And what would be different if you stopped judging yourself for it and started listening to it?